Hi, welcome to Academic Market Insights. I'm Dr. Russell Rhodes, joined by Dr. Larissa Adamiec, and we are going to talk about something that is probably going to be experienced by 97.3% of our students. And that would be dealing with a mortgage and trying to get a handle on what your monthly cost is going to be. How different terms associated with the mortgage can increase or decrease your payments. But I don't really think we go into purchasing a home by
Mhm.
saying, I can afford a $500,000 house. You go into purchasing a home by saying, okay, this is how much I bring home every month. Take about a third of that and say that's what I should be using for a house payment, and then you figure out how much of a house you can afford. So, with that opening color, I am handing things off to Dr. Adamiak.
Yes, and that was a great introduction. We are going to be diving into our favorite tool, Excel, um, so that people can understand what we're doing. I think this is a really important part of just understanding the mortgage process. I'm going to start with a very, very simple example, and then we're going to open up a completed example and talk through some of the terms and aspects of those. So right now, let's say that you want to borrow $10,000. Okay, we're going to have a time frame of 5 years, and these are going to be annual payments. And I'm intentionally doing this because I want to go through manually every step of it. And when you're looking at a mortgage and you're 30 years and 12 payments, it becomes a lot more cumbersome. And we just in Excel drag and drop. But for this part, I want to actually do this so that we can see it. We're going to use a rate of 9%, or let's use 8%. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is calculate our coupon, our payment. And I'm going to be doing it differently than probably Dr. Rowe would because he would use the formula. But I want to throw in that the payment is going to be equal to, and I am typing this in, it is going to be the annuity present value divided by, and this is where it becomes weird, the big bracket, 1 minus 1 plus 1 plus R to the T divided by R. Yep. Okay. We can also use the payment function. But let's go ahead and I'm going to break this down and say equals, I'm going to use the present value factor first. So this becomes 1 minus 1, 1, 1 minus, and it's a little bit of better to do this in Excel, 1.09.
That's why I like the function. You're doing
Yeah, we'll do the,
8%.
pardon me.
You're doing 8%.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
5, 5, and T, depending on your nomenclature, is always the number of periods. It's not necessarily the number of years. Okay, let's see if they got everything. I take this divided by 0.08, right? Now we're going to take this, and actually we're going to take our amount borrowed divided by this, and our payment, our annual payment becomes $2,504.56. We're gonna make this $1, round up. So now let's build out our table. Year 1, and this should be really payments. Let me rename that. Payment 4, 5. Beginning balance. And this will be our $5,000.
10.
10,000. Goodness.
No
Sure I did that
problem.
right. Okay, good. 10,000, our total payment is going to be the exact same for every period. So we can go ahead and drop this. Our interest paid is going to be our beginning balance times the rate that we're borrowing. V4. Okay. Our principal paid is going to be the beginning balance. Take that back. Will be our total payment minus our interest paid, which will give us our principal paid. And our ending balance then becomes our beginning balance minus the principal paid. We're going to start that all over again. Our new beginning balance is last period's last. Our interest paid then becomes the beginning balance times. Told you I was going to do it each time, so I don't need the dollar signs. We're going to take the amount paid minus the interest.
Ooh, more principal.
So, Dr. Rowe, what did you see?
I saw more principal.
What is
less
it?
interest and more principal.
So, if you wouldn't mind, while I'm filling out the rest of this, what's going on here?
Well, we've got as our balance goes down from year to year to year, we are kind of, we're making a dent in what we owe. So as we go through time, more and more is going to be more of our payments. It's going to be contributed to the principal part versus the interest part. And in your case here, we've got that interest paid of 800 and principal paid of 1,700. If you've got a 15 or a 30-year mortgage or so, when you go far out like that, it's very common that you're going to be paying more toward interest than principal toward the early part of the loan.
You can see I just made a mistake.
Uh-oh.
But visually, it was very easy to see.
Mm-hmm.
So what should be our ending balance if we did this correctly?
Are you asking me or are you making?
Yeah, I'm asking you. What do you think? Zero.
I'm hand signaling.
Hand signaling.
A zero. Look at that. Go you. And we go from 800 to 185.52 in interest. And I've been criticized in the classroom about talking about former girlfriends, but here goes. I was dating someone who bought her first house back when I was in my early 30s, and she would add $1 to each payment on a 30-year mortgage. And that actually, just by adding $1, this wasn't a very expensive house. It's like a $100,000 house 30 years ago. By adding $1, it was actually going to knock about 2.5 years off of her when she would be done paying for it.
We're going to show how to do that too in this,
and
in the next calculator.
I reached out to her, and like most people that I dated, she married the person that she dated after me, and she ended up selling her house. So I was like, I really wanted to know how that ended up working, that extra $1 a time. And she said, well, we got married and I moved into his house and we sold my house, but I was ahead. And what started happening was the mortgage company started saying she had nothing due every month because she was ahead. Yeah. So she had to keep up with that one on her own. But that's the earlier you get ahead, the better. And now I'm going to let you go. Sorry.
So very quick, because I do definitely want to jump into it. I'm glad you brought that up because I built that into the next calculator that we can actually play around with and say how much, if we pay extra a month, how much more quickly can we pay off the mortgage? The key that I want to point out is this total loan is really costing us not the $10,000 but $12,523 because we've paid $2,500 in interest. Okay, so that's an important aspect when we're starting to think about the cost of a mortgage or the cost of car payments. Okay, so here is the calculator. We're going to jump this to a 30-year just for a moment. Let's go to a 7%. Okay. So you saw us do all of those calculations by hand. Once we start to get into a 30-year mortgage, we have substantially more payments to take care of because it's 12 payments per year. So we're looking at, is that 362? Did I do that right? So we're looking at a substantial number of payments, and you can see that these are all going to be just, it's going to be, you can just copy and drag. So this is designed so that the blue boxes are inputs. So if you buy a house for $500,000, which depending on your area that you're living in, might not be a very expensive house. It could be on the cheaper side. A 20% down payment will be $100,000 in cash, which means you are borrowing $400,000. Okay. I've also included PMI insurance. If your down payment is less than 20%, the mortgage company will require an additional amount of insurance for that down payment. So you're paying a little bit extra for premium of not putting down the 20%. You also have to pay homeowners insurance. And the mortgage company is very specific that this must get done. And this is now a $200 in this example per month. So you are paying then for the entire month, 200 times 12, so $2,400 for homeowner insurance every single year. And your mortgage company is going to embed that into your payment. Another thing that's embedded into the payment, and this is something that's very easy to overlook because nobody likes to think about it, is our taxes for a state. And depending on where you are, 2% for the year might be low, it might be high. So in this example, we're looking at paying $10,000 for the year in taxes, which is, in my opinion, still a lot of money in taxes. Okay. And again, this is going to be dependent on where you are in the local area. Oh, it's 316 payments.
Mhm.
We have a couple different choices for our mortgages. 10, 15, 30, 20, and 30 years. I think
And maybe
50.
40 and 50 at some point. They've been talking about that, but we're not going there because they don't do that yet.
Not yet.
In other countries, it's actually kind of common.
And I've seen, I think, 100-year mortgages.
Yeah, if in countries where people don't leave the house, everybody. If you're going to end up living in your, I know that's kind of foreign to people in the United States, but if you grow up in the family house, it's very common in other countries to have multiple generations living in the same house, and eventually you just kind of inherit it.
Sure.
So that is the intent. It sounds kind of silly. Who's going to be there for 100 years? But it's more of a case of a house that's going to be a extended family home as opposed to just a single family home that people move in and out of all the time.
Right. So now we get to the fun stuff. So we're going to put in our years. We're going to put in, you want to say 7.5, or are you good with the 7%?
I was good with 7.
Okay, we'll stick with 7%.
Pretty reasonable.
Now, again, we're borrowing 400,000. We are not borrowing 500,000 because we've put $100,000 down. It's a $400,000 loan. Our payment, and this time I did use the payment function. Our payment is based on the total number and then the monthly rate and the amount borrowed. Our payment is going to be static the entire mortgage. I also included, because I was very curious about how much we're actually spending, we have embedded into the total monthly payment the payment itself, any PMI, the insurance, and the monthly taxes. Because your payment on the loan is going to be, in this example, 2,600 or almost 2,700. What the check you write out to the mortgage, though, is almost 3,700 due to that interest and insurance, or the taxes and insurance. Okay. So that's one of the reasons why this is really important for me to demonstrate. So you can see as time goes by, our balance is going to drop. Our payments don't change. Our interest amount is going to change.
Yeah.
And it's going to take the entire 360 payments, sorry about that, to finally get down to this zero mark. These are just extra. Again, because you still have to pay interest and taxes, or I mean, taxes and insurance. So let's say you want to put in, we'll go with your, and supposed to, we'll go with $1.
Dollar. And I would say before you hit enter, that I'm going to stare at the total interest paid and the total principal. That's the number I want to look at. That's the number. A lot of numbers are going to change, but I think the one that might resonate is pay attention to that E13, that total interest paid.
E13 right now is what? 558?
Yeah.
Right.
And it's greater than the total principal paid as well.
It is. So you are paying for this because I include the $100,000 down payment that you put in. This $500,000 home has now cost you $1.1 million. Okay, so $12, $1 extra a month. You drop it about $1,000.
Yeah, it's that, and so that's you're paying an extra that's $360 being paid earlier, and it took that down by about $1,200, I believe. So that makes that's a bit of a dent, not a huge dent, but
not a huge
bit of a dent. But
well,
she was also adding $1 each time, so which you're not set up to do.
No, so let's say you put an extra $100 a month.
There you go. Look at that.
Now we've gone from 558 to $485,000 in interest. That's not bad.
Not at all.
And coughing up an extra $100 seems actually very reasonable at this point. But because of who I am, I'm also curious, when do I stop paying my mortgage then? So I'm, as opposed to paying 360 payments, we're only going to pay 322. So almost 27 years as opposed to 30. So we've shaved off more than 3 years off our mortgage. Now let's say you can throw in $1,000 extra, which for some might not actually be that big of a deal. The $100 should be a no-brainer. You're going to save, well, we said substantial amounts of money, but you throw in an extra $1,000 a month, you go from $558,000 that you are paying in interest to $238,000 a month. It's crazy. Okay. So you are saving a substantial amount of money and you pay off your loan
much
in
earlier.
Less than 15 years.
And you would, I think, if you did one of those silly, and I say silly because I don't do this in the classroom, but if you did one of those silly if I double my payment, guess when the 30-year mortgage would come to an end, you'd probably have somebody immediately say 15 years. But that ain't true. If you doubled your mortgage payment.
So if you just take the payment, not the actual total monthly payment, but that's 2,600 times 12.
31,000, 32,000.
31,200.
Yeah, you are.
You would drop your interest payment from 558 to 130, and you would pay off your loan in less than 9 years.
Yeah.
So those were always fun parts, and that's why I included that aspect into the calculator. Because, well, how quickly can I pay off my loan, and is this really worthwhile? We can see again.
I was just gonna say, you can always get the 30-year mortgage, and treat it like it's a 10-year,
Mhm.
or something like that. I've done that with cars where I might, I don't really like getting a 6-year loan on a car, but if I really intend on paying it off over a couple of years, I don't mind the longer loan. Uh,
Mm.
yeah, just because I know that I'm not going to end up paying all the interest that someone would if they did it for the full 6 years.
And
Um,
again, as we can see that this is substantially different
mhm.
interest that we are paying over the life of the asset.
No,
And a different point, once your mortgage is paid off, you free up all that cash flow coming in,
you do. Yeah.
which is huge.
Yeah. Oh, nothing better than if you had a $4,000 a month expense suddenly going away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
It's almost like getting a cool raise. So
is a huge raise.
cool.
With that, we thank you so much for joining us on our quick discussion about how to calculate mortgages and the inputs that go into a mortgage. If you like this video and you hung out with us to the end, please hit like. And if you're not already a subscriber, please hit subscribe. And if you have constructive criticism or suggestions for future topics, we are all ears, or, all of us.
Yeah.
So we just thank you for joining us. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thanks a lot.